This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Parliamentarians began debate on the new National Investments Bill on Monday, and Vaughn Miller, the Minister of the Environment and Natural Resources, let his position be known that Bahamians must be able to benefit from the nation's natural resources.
Madam Speaker, I've been a firm advocate for natural resources outside of the House, and when elected, continued to stand and continued to cry out loud that something be done with our natural resources. I've been very consistent on the issue that our natural resources belong to the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and the Bahamian people must therefore be the primary beneficiaries. We know that to protect our precious natural resources, we must begin and complete the process of knowing where those resources are and what those resources are.
From the proceeds of the natural resources, the government seeks to establish an investment fund to develop national infrastructure, afford public improvements, and reinforce the social safety network, according to Mr. Miller, who says to protect the nation's natural resources, there are some important steps the government must take, and that his ministry has already begun that work.
We know that to protect our precious natural resources, we must begin and complete the process of knowing where those resources are and what those resources are. Presently, Madam Speaker, we are assiduously working at the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources to map and to inventory our natural resources. For a long time, we've been hearing talks about what we have and what it's worth. And so upon inventorying our resources, Madam Speaker, then we'll be able to put a value to our resources.
Mr. Miller went on to mention a list of natural resources, including aragonite, limestone, coral reefs, pine forest, and the new value placed on mangroves and seagrasses. Meantime, according to Mr. Miller, many Bahamians are concerned and want to know if they will be able to benefit directly from the country's natural resources. Mr. Miller says he believes the general public should receive direct benefits from the natural resources, but at an appropriate time and in an appropriate manner. Health professionals and environmentalists on the island gathered at Balmoral Club this morning for the start of the first ever Climate and Health Ambassadors Training Curriculum Workshop in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. The two-day initiative, organized by the Ministry of Health and Wellness in collaboration with the Earth Media and Earth Nurse Foundation for Planetary Health and the Global Consortium on Climate and Health Education, is being held on New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco. Senior House Officer at the Ministry of Health, Dr. William Hamilton, says the workshop will help to strengthen the capacity of the community and health sector to respond to health threats caused by climate change. Founder of Earth Medic and Earth Nurses and Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, James Hospitalis, says his hope is for a greater advocacy and understanding about this ongoing problem that is greatly affecting the Caribbean nations.
And the objective of this workshop is to bring together our partners in the health sphere as well as the community. Because so often when we think about climate change, there's a disconnect between climate and health. And so this exercise is for us to
As for future and more public workshops, Dr. Hamilton has this to say.
From a health standpoint, because we need the community to assist in driving the change that we want to see long term. Some of the sessions that we'll be focusing on today are extreme heat and really health-related issues. We're also going to look at extreme weather events. We want to look at extreme floods, extreme cyclones such as hurricanes that we in the Bahamas know all too well about. We're also going to look at degraded air quality because that's something that we often overlook, but Saharan dust is something that is definitely
Mr. Hospitales encourages Bahamians to plant trees, install solar panels on their homes, consider walking and riding your bike to work, or get an electric car as the world works towards mitigating and adapting to the new cultural changes and these times of crisis with climate change. The Rotary Club of East Nassau donated $10,000 to the Bahamas Association for the Physically Disabled, BAPB, on the association's Gift Day, December 8th. That was just last week. In attendance were Minister of Social Services and Urban Development, Obi Wilscombe, and Mrs. Anne-Marie Davis of the Office of the Spouse of the Prime Minister, who both gave remarks. RF Bank and Trust affirmed its community partnership with the Bahamas Association for the Physically Disabled. The Gift Day festivities also included a visit from Santa and a children's Christmas play titled The Greatest Gift. And finally, on Grand Bahama, members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Bahamas Customs and Immigration joined forces on Wednesday, December 7th, and assembled at the police headquarters, the Gerald Bartlett Complex, loaded up a number of flatbed trucks with boxes of goodies, and filed out into several communities to deliver care packages to dozens of homes and spread the good cheer just in time for the holidays. The entourage began with the giveaways on Frobisher Drive and moved into neighboring communities. Also on hand were Assistant Commissioner of Police Theophilus Cunningham, officer in charge of the Northern Bahamas, and Senator Kirkland Russell. That'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thanks for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Getting the message out in various ways is extremely important. So the more sensitization we can have, the better it will serve us in the Bahamas, the region, and the world.